5 Iraqi cities were the target of car bombs and exploding roadside devices on Wednesday, November 14th, the eve of the Islamic New Year. The deadliest attack took place in Kirkuk, where at least 3 bombs went off simultaneously, leaving at least 5 people dead. In Hilla, south of Baghdad, 4 people were killed and 9 injured when a car bomb exploded. Because Hilla is frequently attacked by extremists, it is a difficult area to protect. No group or individual has come forward to take responsibility for the bombings, which killed or wounded approximately 100 people, including children. Shukriya Rauf loudly mourned the loss of innocent bystanders. "My child was killed, his friends were killed. There is no security here, our homes were destroyed." After a car bomb wounded 7 street cleaners in Kirkuk, Jassim al-Obeidi offered a telling commentary on the senselessness of the violence. "The car bomb targeted our friends. They are not police, soldiers or politicians." Baghdad security officials have not released any details about the attacks or whether any further attacks are expected. Tension between China and Japan over the ownership of a chain of islands in the East China Sea was further exacerbated when the Dalai Lama visited Japan in early November. During his visit, the Buddhist leader asked Japanese lawmakers to investigate escalating Tibetan self-immolation protests. A record number of this form of suicide occurred when the Communist Party's 18th Party Congress was held in Beijing from November 6 to the 14th. The Dalai Lama urged the Japanese lawmakers to visit Tibet because there are areas which are now very sad, where self-burning happens, so visit. "I always ask the Chinese government, please now do a thorough investigation. Investigate. What are the causes of these sorts of sad things?" While Chinese officials maintain that the situation in Tibet is fine, the Dalai Lama believes that the Chinese have an unrealistic view of the problem. Without knowing the reality, just to carry some policy according to their own philosophy or belief may not be realistic, so that's very, very important. Not only in China, but I think everywhere. Despite the Chinese regime's objection to the Dalai Lama's visit to the Japanese parliament, New Tang Dynasty television reports that Shinzo Abe, who hopes to become Japan's next prime minister, pledged to support Tibetans and put an end to their suppression by the communist regime. Ethiopian officials arrested and charged 29 people with the planning, preparation, conspiracy, incitement and attempt of terrorist acts. Court documents also include charges of intending to advance a political, religious or ideological cause by force. Of the 29 accused, 9 are prominent Muslim leaders. Also among the accused is the wife of the former Minister of Civil Service Janidin Sado, Habiba Mohammed. Mrs. Mohammed is charged with smuggling funds from the Saudi Arabian embassy to support religious extremism. Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn blamed extremist elements for the protest and said that some protesters have tried to activate a hidden political agenda under the pretext of religion. Prosecutors in the case say that the 29 incited violence and called for jihad against the federal government. New spokesman for the terrorist group Boko Haram, Abu Mohammed Abdulaziz, has proposed conditions to allegedly end their reign of terror across Nigeria. Speaking to a group of journalists by telephone, Abdulaziz claims that any peace talks must be held outside the country, along with the release of hundreds of his fellow terrorists already in custody. The Nigerian army is having none of that and has offered a $1.8 million bounty for information leading to the capture of 19 Boko Haram leaders. Regular Infidel viewers are familiar with Boko Haram, a Muslim terrorist group whose name translates to Western education is sacrilege. This radical group is responsible for over 3,000 deaths in the last year and a half alone, according to the Nigerian Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General. Boko Haram wishes to impose its version of strict Sharia law throughout the country of over 150 million people, using fear, intimidation and violence. Nigeria's Joint Task Force released a statement saying that the men are wanted in connection with terrorist activities, which include bombing, killing, or assassinating religious leaders, businessmen, politicians, civil servants, and security personnel. Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Major Mohammed Abubakar, said that the changing nature of threats to Nigeria's national security environment has manifested in the militancy, kidnapping, violent extremism and terrorism taking place in different parts of the country. It is a known fact that terrorism worldwide is characterized by extremism, violent hatred, lack of respect for human decency, and constituted authority. Meanwhile, President Goodluck Jonathan called for the cooperation among African nations to help defeat the terrorist group.